Are you worth $1,200 an hour? Well, certainly I hope so, because you have to think about it this way. If you're giving a speech to 80 people for 1 hour, and if each of those people on average makes $15 an hour, the company is spending $1,200 on your presentation. Regardless of what you get in compensation, they have burned through that amount of money by having those 80 people sit there and listen to you for an hour. So it's a very sobering thought. Do the math ahead of time, and depending on their salary, depending on who they are, and depending on how long you speak, you could burn through a great deal of money. And you need to make sure that whatever you're imparting is going to move that company and that group ahead that amount or more, because if you just break even, chances are you're not going to be called back to speak again. You need to move them further ahead than you have ever thought. Now, I had an opportunity a couple of weeks ago to speak to about 25 people. I had about half an hour, and I did the math and I figured out, wow, I need to make sure that these people are getting at least that much from me. And so I went back to my presentation and I kind of rewrote parts of it because I was, well, frankly, I was a little sloppy. I was a little, I took some things out and added some more things to it. But also I did a couple of really key points. At the end, I said, I'm going to make sure that you have my entire presentation plus a cheat sheet that goes here and another cheat sheet that goes here. I'm going to give you this and this. All that's going to be in your email when you're done, because I want to make sure that in the end you're very happy with the information that I gave you. I wanted to be sure that I was worth everything that I was supposed to be. Now, in order to do that, I recommend that you write out your presentation. Now, if you're given a 3-hour presentation, I know you can't do 3 hours written out longhand, but most of us don't. Most of us speak for a half hour, 45 minutes, and you can and you should. Did you know that every comedian out there writes out every one of his jokes? That the most unscripted person that you've ever seen is the most highly rehearsed person you could ever imagine. They don't get up there and just say words. These are words they've thought about, they've written, they've underlined, they've crossed out, and they've written them again. Now everybody says, oh, but that just seems like so much work. It is work, but are you worth $1,200? If you're going to burn through $1,200 of their time, you need to make sure you're giving them a $1,200 speech. And that means removing a lot of the words, what I call weasel words, which are nervous energy words. And the only way to remove those nervous energy words is by writing it out. Because when you write it out, you can see I've got a point here, and I've got a point here, and I'm filling in between with a lot of nervous energy words that don't actually say anything. So here's my point, and in the middle, what? When you're writing it out, when you're typing it out, you can see in the middle, you're putting a lot of stuff in there that doesn't need to be there. You know, I worked with a young lady just the other day. That is exactly what her problem was. She had a great point, and she had another great point, but between she had all this nervous energy words. Once we looked at her on videotape, and once she saw that, then she went and wrote her speech out, completely, and then that removed all of those nervous energy phrases. Nervous energy phrases like, okay, so what I'd like to talk, okay, we'll just take a couple of minutes here, and we're going to, the first thing is, all of that doesn't mean anything. I mean, she had a great point. Her first point was 193,000 people watched this thing that I produced. 193,000. That is a massive number. That is a much larger number than any of us would have expected. And so by just saying that, 193,000 people have watched this. No nervous energy, just a pause. And then of those 193,000, 8,000 are the target market. So those without the nervous energy words are incredibly impressive numbers. So in the end, what I encourage her to do, and what she's getting to, she's going to get there soon, is she's going to get to the point where she'll say 193,000 people have watched this program. And then a pause. Of those, 8,000 are our key our key group that we want to watch this. We're looking for them, and they're watching 8,000 of them and 193,000 overall. So when you're writing stuff out completely, then you go through there and you find all of that stuff that isn't necessary. I need to tell you a story? Really? Could I just spend a few moments and talk to you about, really? No, come on. All that's not necessary. You don't need to ask permission to tell a story. You don't need to say, let me back up here, and all of that's worthless. You can just remove all of that. And you can, then what you've done is you've set up your key points, key points, key points, key points, and as a little filler as possible. You like to do fillers. I want you to do fillers with stories, with anecdotes, with anchors, things that can anchor your points. And I want you to do all that, but what I don't want you to spend your time doing is the meaningless filler words that so many people, when they get nervous, tend to do. So, yeah, I know it's a big, it seems like a lot when somebody asks you to write out your entire presentation. But if you do, it'll be one of the best learning tools that you can get to. Now, after you've written it out, go through there and strike out everything you don't need. And then think about every word. Could I use a stronger word here than the one I've got? And then go through and actually mark it up. So you pause here and smile here and move on, your stage movements and everything. You mark up that document. When you're writing it out, you have to say it out loud. Now, as I said, I worked in TV for a long time. And in TV, everybody writes and they speak out loud because eventually they're going to have to speak it out loud. And something sometimes will look like it makes a lot of sense when you type it, but when you try to say it out loud, it just doesn't make any sense at all. So if you go through the newsroom, most newsrooms, you'll have people in there typing and they're saying out loud, you know, Mayor Dunwoody today was, and they're just talking it out loud because that's the only way you're going to know. The other thing this allows you to do is it allows you to time it really closely. Now I take my phone has a way for me to record the audio, and now that I've got it typed out, I can record my audio and I will read it verbatim off the sheet, time it, and if I do that a couple of times, I'll get that timing pretty close. And if somebody's giving me 18 minutes to speak, I can pretty much nail that because I've practiced it into my phone and listened to it back, and I can tell you how close that's going to be. So, but if you just have bullet points, I'm going to hit these points, I'm going to do these first 4, and then after that I'll do these next 4. Then you have no idea really how long your speech is going to be. And unless you're really good, you're going to end up filling it up with a lot of nonsense phrases. People have the mistaken impression that a lot of these people will get up and just talk. And one of the worst things you can do is just oh, I know this stuff, I'll just get up and talk. Because it doesn't work that way. If you're burning through time, you're burning through money. And I want to make sure that you're worth that $1,200 by the time you get on stage. Hey, I'm always interested to hear what you think. Send me a comment, let me know, and tell me if this helps. Thanks.